What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my full UFC 300 predictions of the entire card. I'm going to try to make this video not too long, maybe 40-ish minutes. I don't want to drag it on for an hour. And real quick, do you guys like the lighting? I'm trying to, figure a few things out, trying to test a few things out. Do you guys like this lighting? It's currently 12:37 in the morning, so I'm kind of trying to deal with things. I feel like the lighting's not too bad. I hope the microphone audio is better as well. But regardless, let's jump straight into it. With the prelim opener of Deiveson Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt, I'm going with Deiveson Figueiredo by second round TKO. I don't think Garbrandt is going to be able to stay on the feet with Figueiredo. Figueiredo looks great in his bantamweight debut against Rob Font. I was personally very impressed with that performance. After he lost to Brandon Moreno in his last fight at flyweight, I wasn't too sure if Deiveson Figueiredo had a lot left in the tank, but against Rob Font, he proved he still has it. And Cody Garbrandt, yeah, he's a good fighter. He's gotten back on a little bit of a win streak, but I just don't think it's on the level of a guy like Deiveson Figueiredo. Brian Kelleher, I mean, come on, guys. Let's be completely real. Brian Kelleher is not Deiveson Figueiredo. This is a massive step up in competition for Cody Garbrandt, and I just don't see him winning. I don't think his chin is going to be able to take the shots of Figueiredo for too long. Pound for pound, Figueiredo has a ton of power, and I just don't think Garbrandt is on that level anymore, unfortunately. Maybe Garbrandt can mix in the takedowns, but at the same time, I feel like if anyone were to mix in the takedowns, I feel like it would be Deiveson Figueiredo, and I feel like he would be able to implement his ground game a little bit more. So I'm going with Deiveson Figueiredo. I don't think Garbrandt is going to have too much success in this fight. Excuse me. My phone just went off. But yeah, give me Deiveson Figueiredo by second round TKO. I think it's going to be a great performance. And then maybe Figgy finds himself in a top 5 fight. Maybe he fights Chito Vera, maybe Petr Yan. I think those would be fun fights. But as I said, I just don't think Cody Garbrandt is on that level, and I think Figgy is going to win by second round TKO. Next up, moving up on the card, Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Decent fight for UFC 300. Both guys, deserve to be on the card, if you want to say something like that. Jim Miller, UFC 100, UFC 200. Throw him on UFC 300, why not? And then Bobby Green, we know what Bobby Green's about. He's been around for so long. Give me Bobby Green by decision. I think Bobby Green's going to win by decision. I'm not really going to talk about this fight for too long because there's not much to talk about. I think it could be a slugfest, but I think Bobby Green's just going to have more of the volume. And I don't think he'll be able to finish Jim Miller, but I think with the volume, he'll be able to win by decision. I think he's more skilled, better on the feet than Jim Miller. If this fight were to end in a finish, I would actually pick Jim Miller. I don't see Bobby Green finishing Jim Miller, but I also don't see Jim Miller finishing Bobby Green, if that makes sense. So give me Bobby Green by decision. I just think the volume on the feet will help him prevail in this fight. Next up, Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. Decent little fight. I think this could be a little bit of a barn burner, underrated fight for some people. Give me Marina Rodriguez by decision. I think that's an underdog pick. I think she's around plus 105 right now. I was hearing something weird in the background. I just don't think Jessica Andrade is going to be able to keep up on the feet. I think Jessica Andrade is too predictable on the feet. And Marina Rodriguez is a better striker. Her ability to jump in and out of the pocket, land a few strikes, her combos are really crisp. I think she's going to be able to piece up Jessica Andrade in this fight. Andrade too predictable, as I said. I feel like Marina Rodriguez, her distance management will look really solid in this fight. I don't think there will be any takedowns. I think it'll be kind of just a striking battle, and I'm picking Marina Rodriguez in that striking battle every single day. As I said, cleaner striker, better boxing combinations. I feel like the jab straight and maybe the jab straight, the hook for Marina Rodriguez could be huge. She likes to throw those in combinations sometimes, so I feel like that could be huge for her. Jessica Andrade is too predictable. I don't see her, throwing 4 right hooks in a row and finding success with that. Marina Rodriguez is too good of a striker. She's coming off of a good win against Michelle Waterson, if I'm not mistaken. And then Jessica Andrade with a decent performance over Mackenzie Dern. But, you know, we know what Mackenzie Dern brings to the table. So give me Marina Rodriguez by decision. I could see a finish in this fight. I really could. Both women have a lot of power, but I see it go into decision. Marina Rodriguez, better striker, volume, similarly to the last fight. I think the volume will help her prevail in this fight. Moving up on the card, we have Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano as the early prelim headliner. Give me Jalen Turner by third round TKO. This is a really good fight. I'm excited for this one. Both guys don't really have great wins in the UFC, which is kind of weird because they are great fighters. Jalen Turner coming off of that close loss to Dan Hooker, and then, of course, that brutal knockout over Bobby Green. And then Renato Moicano, he gets wins. He only loses to the best guys in the UFC, the Korean Zombie, Jose Aldo, and other guys like that. But I feel like Jalen Turner is just going to pick him apart at range, use the leg kicks, jump in and out of the pocket. He's the cleaner striker, crisper striker. If Renato Moicano is to win this fight, I see him getting on the inside, fighting dirty, maybe get a takedown or two. Both guys do have sneaky submission games, Renato Moicano, I feel like, has better wrestling, so if he were to win, I see him winning by points, getting the fight to the ground for all 3 rounds, trying to bank rounds like that. But I just don't see it happening. Jalen Turner is too crafty. His striking is underrated. He's super big. He's a super big lightweight, and I just see him picking apart Renato Moicano at range. And I see him finally getting that kill shot in the 3rd round after Renato Moicano's kind of been beat up for 3 rounds. So yeah, Jalen Turner by 3rd round TKO. I wouldn't be all too surprised if Renato Moicano could get a submission in this fight. He's got to fight dirty, though. He's got to get on the inside, get a hold of Jalen Turner, and then get him to the ground. That's where I see Renato Moicano winning, but I just don't see it happening. Give me Jalen Turner by 3rd round TKO. All right, we're on to the prelims now, and we got a great fight to open up the prelims. Sodiq Yusuff versus Diego Lopes. Whenever Diego Lopes is fighting, I'm here. Whenever Diego Lopes is fighting, I'm here. I saw his UFC debut against Movsar Evloev live at UFC 288. That was an incredible fight. And Diego Lopes is so damn good. His submission skills are out of this world. And for a guy who, is new into the UFC, yeah, he has a lot of professional fights, but he's new into the UFC. He's super crafty, man. He's super crafty, and I see him getting a 3rd round submission victory over Sodiq Yusuff. But we can't underestimate Sodiq Yusuff. He's coming off of that close loss to Edson Barbosa, where, if we're being honest, he should have won that fight. If this fight stays on the feet, I think Sodiq Yusuff has the advantage. But at the same time, Diego Lopes proved in his last fight against Pat Sabatini he has striking skills. And in that fight, a lot of people thought Pat Sabatini could maybe get the win, and Diego Lopes destroyed him in 1 round. So if the fight stays on the feet, I favor Sodiq Yusuff to win off points. Yeah, he has some power, but usually he gets his wins by decision, but I feel like Diego Lopes is going to find something. I feel like he's going to get the fight to the ground and find some crazy submission, heel hook, something weird. We know what Diego Lopes is about, and I think he's going to put on a show at UFC 300 and get the biggest win of his career. So give me Diego Lopes by 3rd round submission. Moving up, we have Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Now, I'm not even sure if this fight happens. Kayla Harrison, I saw pictures earlier today. Kayla Harrison is absolutely gigantic. She is so strong. I don't know how she's going to make 135 pounds. I really don't know how she's going to make the weight. I hope she does, because I'm interested to see how she does in her UFC debut against Holly Holm, who's always game. Of course, she's not in her prime, but she has decent striking skills still. But I'm going to go with Kayla Harrison by decision. 2-time judo gold medalist. I see this fight getting to the ground, and I see Kayla Harrison absolutely dominating. However, if this fight were to stay on the feet, I feel like Holly Holm has a pretty big advantage. Her takedown defense is good, but I feel like Kayla Harrison is going to be too strong, man. And I think she could find a submission in this fight. However, Holly Holm does have decent submission defense. So give me Kayla Harrison by decision. I hope she makes weight. I'm interested to see how she performs. And maybe we see her fighting for a title soon, but she's got to make weight. That's the biggest thing going into this fight. She has to make weight. And I'm just not sure if she does, man. I'm really not sure if she does. If she does make the weight, I see her winning by decision. I see her getting this fight to the ground. I don't see Holly Holm stuffing the takedowns. So give me Kayla Harrison by decision. Next up, we're getting to the big fights now. The big fights. Let's go, boys. Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. This is such a banger. This is such a banger. And the fact that this is the second best fight, you could say, on the prelims is a testament to how good UFC 300 is. Wow. This is a crazy fight. Give me Calvin Kattar by second round TKO, and I'm confident of it. I am confident of it. He's coming off of a long layoff. Of course, he tore his ACL against Arnold Allen. I think it was about a year and a half ago. So that is something to consider going into this fight. It is one of the biggest talking points going into this fight, alongside Aljamain Sterling's 145-pound debut. But I feel like Calvin Kattar, man, he's such a stylistic nightmare for Aljamain Sterling. If you think of one guy who is a stylistic nightmare for Aljamain Sterling, it's literally Calvin Kattar, man. It's literally Calvin Kattar. The UFC is, not too nice to Aljo with this matchup. Of course, Aljo could win this fight. Depends on how strong he is. Does he look really good at 145? Is he as strong as he was at 135? Was he as dominant as he was at 135 pounds? I could see that being the case, but Calvin Kattar's boxing is so damn crisp. Aljamain Sterling's striking defense is really poor. We saw in the Sean O'Malley fight. I mean, Sean O'Malley kind of exposed Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling's boxing fundamentals are poor. His striking defense is very poor. His entries are very poor. And I just see Calvin Kattar just exposing him in this fight, man. I really see Calvin Kattar exposing him in this fight. Calvin Kattar, I didn't mention this yet, his takedown defense is phenomenal. Calvin Kattar's takedown defense is absolutely phenomenal. He has a great build to stuff the takedowns of Aljamain Sterling. And if Aljo can't get this fight to the ground, he's a fish out of water. He's a fish out of water, and he will get pieced up by Calvin Kattar. I guarantee you. I guarantee it. If this fight stays on the feet, Calvin Kattar is going to finish him. I could even see it inside one round. Aljamain Sterling, I'd like to see him tweak his approach. He needs to improve his striking defense against, the best guys at 145 pounds. The Alexander Volkanovskis, the Yair Rodriguez's, the Ilia Topurias. He doesn't stand a chance. He does not stand a damn chance if he doesn't improve his striking defense. So that is the biggest talking point in this fight for me. How does Aljo look at 145, and what's the improvements he made? But I just can't bank on it, man. I can't bank on it. I see Calvin Kattar stuffing the takedowns and just piecing up Aljamain Sterling on the feet, and then ultimately finding that finish. I could see him maybe landing like a knee as Aljo enters the pocket and goes for a level change. I could see that happening. So give me Aljamain Sterling to lose by second round TKO. I'm going to predict a knee up the middle. I'm going to predict a knee up the middle for Calvin Kattar in the second round, and that he'll ultimately get the finish. I'm confident of that as well. I think he's absolutely going to win this fight. Moving up on the card as the prelim headliner, we have Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. The fact that this is on the prelims is insane. This could literally be a co-main event at any other pay-per-view. If I'm going to be honest, Yuri Prochazka, 5 pay-per-views ago, was headlining Madison Square Garden. Of course, he came up short in that fight against Alex Pereira. He had some moments. But I was pretty confident Alex was going to go in there and get it done. If you go to my TikTok account, I have nearing 18,000 followers over there. I perfectly predicted Alex Pereira to win that fight. And I feel like a guy like Alexander Rakic can watch that fight and be like, okay, I could win this fight. I could implement my game and get the win. And I think that's going to happen. Give me Alexander Rakic by decision. Now, I won't be too surprised if Yuri Prochazka just chins him. I really wouldn't. His unorthodox style is so hard to predict. and they have some beef, actually. They're kind of talking trash. Alexander Rakic is saying he's not a real samurai. I am not sure if you want to play that game. We're going to see something crazy on Saturday night if Yuri Prohaska gets like a crazy finish, because that might be a new mythical fighter. We might have a new mythical fighter on our hands when you talk shit to Yuri Prohaska, you're going to end up getting KO'd. So that's very interesting. That's an interesting narrative. But like the fight beforehand, I feel like Alexander Rakic is such a tough stylistic matchup, for Yuri Prohaska. I feel like he's going to blast those low kicks like Alex Pereira did. Yuri is so heavy on that lead leg, and I just see, Rakic landing those low kicks, landing those low kicks, landing those low kicks. His boxing is super crisp. He has pretty fundamental striking. He's good everywhere, and I see him mixing in those takedowns. I feel like the movement of Yuri Prohaska is going to be super limited as Rakic blasts those low kicks. And then I see Rakic using the takedowns, banking rounds, and I see him winning by decision. I'm pretty confident in this pick as well. Of course, Alexander Rakic, like Calvin Kattar, as I talked about earlier, is coming off of a bad injury. So there's a lot of narratives on this fight card. We have Aljamain Sterling at 145, Calvin Kattar coming off of a bad injury, Rakic coming off of a bad injury. We have, who else? We have Jamal Hill coming off of a bad injury. So there's so many question marks going into this fight card, and it's so damn exciting. So if Alexander Rakic looks good in this fight, and I feel like he's taken the time off to fully heal, I think he wins. The best Alexander Rakic, I think, beats the best Yuri Prohaska. But as I said, I was burping. As I said, I wouldn't be too surprised if Yuri Prohaska is to, back up Rakic against the cage, use his forward movement, and then get a crazy spinning elbow or something crazy. That would be so fun, man. Imagine. I want Yuri Prohaska to win. I want Yuri Prohaska to win this fight. I'd much rather see him fight in the championship fights than Alexander Rakic, even though Rakic is super, super skilled. He's underrated as hell, but I kind of want to see Yuri get a crazy, highlight reel knockout. That would be so sick, man. To finish off the prelims, Yuri Prohaska gets like a spinning elbow, flying knee. That would be sick. But overall, I feel like Rakic is going to implement those low kicks. I feel like he's going to implement the takedowns. I feel like his boxing, his 1-2, will be pretty crisp in this fight, and I see him winning by decision. So give me Rakic by decision. Moving up on the card, we're at the main event. Or they're not the main event. We're on the main card, and this is such a stacked main card. Opening up the main card, we have Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. Give me Bo Nickel by first minute finish. Moving up on the card, we have Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. What a fight. What a fight, man. I mean, this is arguably the best fight on the card. We have Charles Oliveira coming off of, or both guys coming off of brutal finishes of Beneil Dariush. And this is such a good fight, man. Charles Oliveira is one of my favorite fighters of all time, and I think he's going to get it done once again. I think he's going to submit Arman Tsarukyan in the second round. But this is such a good fight. We have Charles Oliveira losing to Islam Makhachev. Poor performance. Coming back where he was doubted by so many, even myself. He comes back and destroys Beneil Dariush and shows him levels. On the other hand, we have Arman Tsarukyan, the young gun, on the come up, who destroyed Beneil Dariush as well, and looks like one of the guys who could maybe beat Islam Makhachev. I feel like Arman Tsarukyan's last real loss is against Islam Makhachev, but I see Charles winning by submission in the second round. I feel like Charles is pretty much better everywhere besides the wrestling. I feel like Arman Tsarukyan's definitely a better wrestler, but on the feet, Charles is more dangerous, crisper striker, and I like his striking defense a whole lot more. On the ground, I feel like, of course, Charles is a better grappler. Arman is a better wrestler, but off his back, I feel like Charles Oliveira is more crafty. He could throw up submissions. He could throw up the triangle. And I could kind of see that happening, but I feel like in the first round, both guys are going to be throwing shots. I feel like maybe Arman Tsarukyan lands a takedown. Maybe he gets, on top landing really good ground and pound because he has really good ground and pound. I see Charles Oliveira staying safe though. When Charles's opponent is in his guard, he's super defensively sound. Maybe he throws up a few submission attempts, maybe a triangle. Maybe he gets himself back to the feet. Maybe he lands a nice shot or two, stuns Arman, maybe. But I feel like it goes to the second round. They're trying to open up a little bit more on the feet. Arman's trying to get the takedowns, can't really get the takedowns, not doing too much on the ground because, as I said, Charles Oliveira is super good off his back, super defensively sound. And then I just see him stunning Arman Tsarukyan on the feet. He improved a lot against Beneil Dariush. His striking looked crisper. He looked more calculated. And I see that similar approach against Arman Tsarukyan. I think he's going to stun him with something on the feet, and then Arman is going to maybe go for a lousy takedown, and then Charles Oliveira is going to cinch up a guillotine, maybe go to his back and then lock that up, and that's going to be all she wrote. So if I had to make a bold, like super bold, and, I don't even know what the word is, but a bold prediction, I see Charles stunning Arman on the feet, Arman goes for a lousy takedown, and then Charles cinches up that guillotine and then gets it done by second round submission. However, I wouldn't be all too surprised, if Arman Tsarukyan gets it done. His ground and pound, as I said, is really good. Maybe he, brings this fight to the later rounds. Maybe Charles Oliveira gas a little bit, and then Arman Tsarukyan can kind of open up on the ground, land some really nice ground and pound, and maybe get a TKO victory. If I had to predict an Arman victory, I'd go with third round TKO via ground and pound, but I just don't see it happening, man. I don't see him having too much success on the ground. Charles Oliveira is super good defensively. I think he'll be super active off his back, not giving Arman too many chances to land a lot of ground and pound. I see Charles having the striking advantage on the feet, more dangerous fighter, and I think he's gonna win this fight. And I think Charles Oliveira will be fighting Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title later this year, which is so damn exciting. I can't wait. My favorite fighter of all time, an inspiration to many, and I'd love to see him win on Saturday night. Give me Charles Oliveira by second round guillotine. Next up, moving up on the card, we have Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF title. Throw the BMF title away. Throw it away. I do not care about it. I care about the matchup, though. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. What a fight. What a fight. I think we are going to see the best Max Holloway of all time in this fight. I think we are going to see the best Max Holloway we have ever seen in this fight. And I think he's going to get a TKO victory over Justin Gaethje in the third round. Now, I originally had Justin Gaethje winning this fight. And, by face value, I feel like it makes sense to pick Justin Gaethje. But when you really dive into it, I feel like Max Holloway pieces him up. I'm going to be completely honest. I think Max Holloway pieces him up, and we get to see the best Max Holloway we have ever seen. And then he throws himself into the title picture at lightweight. I mean, if Max Holloway wins, say a Charles Oliveira wins, oh my God, the lightweight division, feed it to me, man. Feed it to me. I want to see Max Holloway win, and I think he is going to win. Now, going into this fight, I was very worried that he wasn't going to feel like a natural lightweight, but he's known about this fight for so long, and I feel like the bulk is going to be solid in this fight. So I can't really look at that as a big factor. I feel like Max Holloway is going to look good in this fight. You look back to his first lightweight fight against Dustin Poirier, 6 weeks notice, and he should have finished Dustin Poirier. And I feel like that Dustin Poirier is a better version of the Justin Gaethje we have here. Now that's not something you could look at and be like, okay, Max Holloway wins. That doesn't make sense. But Max Holloway has experience at lightweight, and I feel like his style of striking is going to give Justin Gaethje so many problems. Now, of course, Justin Gaethje's low kicks could be huge for him in this fight, but Max Holloway has tanked so many calf kicks, man. And I feel like Max Holloway's, range, his distance management is going to be big in this fight. I feel like he's not going to eat too many low kicks. His calves are huge regardless, but I feel like Max Holloway's striking is going to give Gaethje problems. I feel like Gaethje is not going to respect the striking of Max Holloway, and I feel like he's going to overextend at points. Max Holloway is going to be super defensively sound. I think in terms of defense, this is the best Max Holloway we have ever seen. I feel like he's going to be super defensively sound. He's going to be in and out of the pocket. When Gaethje throws 1-2 punch combinations, Max Holloway will return with 3 jabs, a straight, a left hook. He'll be throwing the 5, 6, 7 punch combinations, whereas Justin Gaethje will throw the 1-2 punch combinations. And I think the rhythm, the tempo of this fight is going to be directly, I don't even know the word, directly. Max Holloway is going to be in charge of the tempo, is what I'm trying to say. I feel like he's going to make Justin Gaethje overextend, and then he's going to land the 1-2, the left hook, the uppercut, the body shot. You guys know what I mean. The Max Holloway special, the 7-punch combination. And I feel like he's not going to let Justin Gaethje reset and get into a rhythm. I feel like the rhythm in this fight will be Max Holloway, Max Holloway, Max Holloway, 7-punch, 6-punch, 5-punch combinations, and he's going to be dictating the pace of this fight. And I think he's going to be shocking everybody this weekend when he TKO finishes Justin Gaethje, and I am confident of it. I'm pretty confident in a lot of picks on this card, and I feel like Max Holloway's going to get it done with his floral shorts. He's going to get it done, and I'm so here for it. I feel like Justin Gaethje's not going to get into a rhythm. He's not going to be landing the low kicks as much, and I feel like the low kicks won't be doing as much to Max Holloway. Max has tanked so many low kicks from a guy like Volkanovski. Now, of course, Gaethje has stronger low kicks, but I feel like he's going to be fine. He won't let Gaethje get into a rhythm. Maybe Gaethje lands a few shots. I think that's, more than likely will happen, but I see Max Holloway landing the 5, 6, 7 punch combinations, as I said, won't get Gaethje into a rhythm, and then overtime, second, third, maybe even fourth round, Gaethje is going to really struggle. And if Max Holloway gets Gaethje hurt, which I think he will do, he's not going to let him off the hook. If Max Holloway lands one good punch that rocks Justin Gaethje, I think it's over. I think it's wraps. So give me Max Holloway by third round TKO. And the biggest thing for me in this fight is Max Holloway, directing the tempo, directing the rhythm, and not letting Justin Gaethje get into a rhythm. That's the biggest talking point for me going into this fight. So give me Holloway by third round TKO. Moving up on the card to the co-main event, the women's strawweight title, Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan, 2 Chinese women going to battle. And this is a good fight, man. I'm excited for this. I feel like it's pretty underrated. I am going with Zhang Weili, and I'm confident she is going to get it done because I feel like she is one of the greatest women's fighters we've ever seen. And in terms of pure skill set, arguably the best we've ever seen. But at the same time, a lot of people are discrediting Yan Xiaonan in this fight. Her striking has improved a lot. She has a ton of power, and I wouldn't be all too surprised if she gets a knockout victory in this fight. However, I gotta go with Zhang Weili. Looking at her last performance against Amanda Lemos, that was one of the most dominant title performances we've ever seen. I feel like Zhang Weili is going to have her moments on the feet. I feel like on the feet, it could be pretty close. Both women are good strikers. Both have a ton of power. I could see them going blow for blow. But the biggest thing for me in this fight, of course, is the wrestling of Zhang Weili. She has kind of taken that approach later into her career. We saw in the Amanda Lemos fight, she uses her wrestling a whole lot more, and that's, the biggest discrepancy in this fight. Yan Xiaonan doesn't have amazing, takedown defense, and her wrestling isn't on the level of Zhang Weili, So I see this fight being pretty close on the feet. I could see Yan Xiaonan having her moments. I see Zhang Weili landing as well, but the ultimate factor and the ultimate decider in this fight, as I said, is the wrestling. I see Zhang Weili landing 4, 5, 6 takedowns in this fight and ultimately dominating. I'm going to go with a 49-46 decision for Zhang Weili, and I think she's going to retain her strawweight title. Moving up to the main event between Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill. What a main event for UFC 300. I don't know why people were shitting on it for as long as they were, but this is an incredible fight. Give me Jamal Hill by second round TKO. And I am confident that he's going to go out there. Actually, give me Jamal Hill by second round KO. I think he's going to flatline and put Alex Pereira out cold, and I am confident of it. I am confident of it. Jamal Hill's striking is going to give Alex Pereira a lot of problems. Now, Alex Pereira is a better striker than Jamal Hill. I am not saying he isn't, but the style of striking that Jamal Hill has is going to give Alex Pereira a ton of problems, and I am so confident of it. I am so confident of it. You look at a fight like Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya, and all the fights they had, two of the greatest kickboxers we've ever seen, two of the greatest strikers we've ever seen. Now, I do think Israel Adesanya is the better striker than Alex Pereira. However, Israel Adesanya's striking is kind of tailor-made for Alex Pereira, a guy who is okay on the back foot. I'm talking about Israel Adesanya here. Okay on the back foot, is a good counter striker, so he's fine being on the back foot. His forward pressure isn't crazy. His boxing isn't crazy. So I feel like it's kind of tailor-made for Alex Pereira to not be too worried about the boxing. You know, Alex Pereira could push the pace against Israel Adesanya, but he won't be able to do that against Jamal Hill. You look at Alex Pereira's fights with Israel Adesanya, a guy who doesn't have amazing striking. What's the biggest moments Israel Adesanya had in that fight? It's throwing the 1-2. It's throwing the 1-2. He had multiple moments where he caught Alex Pereira with the 1-2, and I think Jamal Hill's going to catch him with the 1-2. I think he's going to catch him with the 1-2. I feel like Jamal Hill's forward pressure as well is going to be a huge decider in this fight. Jamal Hill always likes to paw with that lead hand as well. I feel like his distance management is going to be big in this fight. I see him with the forward pressure, pawing, landing the jab, landing the straight, getting Alex Pereira backed up against the cage. And I see him landing a 1-2 and knocking out Alex Pereira. Now, I will say one thing. Jamal Hill against guys like Thiago Santos, where he didn't respect the striking all too much, sometimes he would enter the pocket with his right hand down, if I'm not mistaken. Now, that's kind of tailor-made for an Alex Pereira left hook. Kind of tailor-made for it. Now, if Jamal Hill doesn't improve in that aspect, I see Alex Pereira knocking him out with the left hook. But at the same time, I feel like Jamal Hill is going to respect the striking of Alex Pereira so much, where he's going to improve on that. He's not going to enter the pocket and, move with forward pressure, poorly, without respecting the striking of Alex Pereira. So, ultimately, I see Jamal Hill using his forward pressure, landing the 1-2, pawing with the lead hand, maybe throwing that sneaky head kick from southpaw. Watch out for that in that fight. And I see him knocking out Alex Pereira at the 1-2, and I'm confident of it. Now, I wouldn't be too surprised if Alex Pereira wins. Of course, his low kicks are huge. I'd like to see him, use the low kicks as Jamal Hill is stepping forward, throw the calf kick, then use your lateral movement to get outside and maybe get back to the center of the cage. That's where I feel like Pereira is going to have the most success, is in the center of the cage. But once he starts to get backed up to the back, backed up to the... And when Alex Pereira gets this fight to the center of the cage, that's where I feel like he can find success. But when he starts to get backed up, when he starts to get his backed up against the cage, I see Jamal Hill knocking him out. I really do, man. I just see it happening. Of course, we got to talk about the Achilles injury. If he's coming back too soon, I think there's a serious problem, because I am not a fan of Achilles injuries. They're one of the worst injuries you could get in sports. So if he's coming back too soon, I don't like his chances in this fight. But I feel like he's going to be so confident going to this fight, where I feel like he is going to be fully healthy. And, you see Jamal Hill throughout fight week, and, for the weeks leading up to this fight, he's been so eerily confident going into this. And I think he's going to prove so many people wrong on Saturday night. Now, I still feel like Alex Pereira is the better striker, but as I said, Jamal Hill's type of striking is going to give Alex Pereira a lot of problems. So my official prediction, Jamal Hill by second round knockout. I could see a first round knockout as well. I could see a first round knockout as well, and I could see him getting it early. I could see him putting the pressure, putting the pressure on early and landing something crazy in the first 1, 2, 3 minutes. But I'm going to play it safe and go with Jamal Hill by second round knockout. I think he's going to paw with the lead hand, paw, get Alex backed up, and then land the 1-2 and find something. I see it happening, and I am confident of it. Let me know what you guys think of the predictions. This is going to be like a 35-ish minute video. Let me know what you guys think of the predictions. I'm pretty confident with a lot of these. I'm going to run through them one more time for you guys. Starting off the card, Davison Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. Give me Figueiredo by second round TKO. Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Give me Bobby Green by decision. Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. Give me Marina Rodriguez by decision. Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. Give me Jalen Turner by third round TKO. Sadiq Youssef versus Diego Lopez. Give me Diego Lopez by a third round submission. Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Give me Kayla Harrison by decision. Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. Give me Calvin Kattar by second round TKO. Confident of it. Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic. Give me Alexander Rakic by decision. Pretty confident of that pick as well. On the main card, Bo Nickel versus Cody Brundage. Give me Bo Nickel by first minute finish. Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. Give me Charles Oliveira by second round guillotine. Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. Give me Max Holloway by third round TKO. Zhang Wei Li versus Yan Zhao Nan. Give me Zhang Wei Li by decision. And then finally in the main event, Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill. Give me Jamal Hill by second round knockout. Let me know what you think of the predictions. Click the subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I appreciate you guys for watching UFC 300 this Saturday. Let's go. We're here.